But he is not in love with his dog. I guess I can see what you mean, Tina said, though she sounded kind of doubtful. So, what are you going to do? That's why I called you, I said. I mean, do you think I should just ask him? Tina let out a cry of pain. I thought it was because she had jiggled her sprained ankle, but really it was because she was so horrified by what I had asked. Of course you can't just come out and ask him, she cried. You can't put him on the spot like that. You've got to be more subtle. Remember, he's Michael, which of course makes him vastly superior to most guys, but he's still a guy. I hadn't thought of this. I hadn't thought of a lot of things, apparently. I couldn't believe that I had just been going along on this sea of bliss, happy just to know Michael even liked me, while the whole time he could have been falling in love with some other, more intellectually or athletically gifted girl. Well, I said, maybe I should just be like, do you like me as a friend or do you like me as a girlfriend? Mia, Tina said, I really do not think you should ask Michael point blank like that. He might run away in fear, like a startled fawn. Boys have a tendency to do that, you know. They aren't like us. They don't like to talk about their feelings. It is just so sad that to get any kind of trustworthy advice about men, I have to call someone 8,000 miles away. Thank God for Tina Hakim Baba. All I have to say, this is all I have to say. So what do you think I should do? I asked. Well, it's going to be hard for you to do anything, Tina said, until you get back here. The only way to tell what a boy is feeling is to look into his eyes. You'll never get anything out of him over the phone. Boys are no good at talking on the phone. This was certainly true. If my ex-boyfriend Kenny had been any sort of indication. I know, Tina said, sounding like she had just gotten a good idea. Why don't you ask Lily? I don't know, I said. I'd feel kind of funny about dragging her into something that's between Michael and me. The truth was, Lily and I still hadn't really even talked about me liking her brother and her brother liking me back. I had always thought she'd be kind of mad about it, but then it turned out in the end she actually kind of helped us get together by telling Michael I was the one who had been sending him those anonymous love letters. Just ask her, Tina said. But it's really late there, I said. Late? It's only like 9 o'clock in Florida. Yeah, and that's what time Lily and Michael's grandparents go to bed. I don't want to call and wake them up. Then they'll hate me forever. And it will make things uncomfortable at the wedding. I didn't say this part out loud, although probably I could have, and Tina would have understood. They won't care if you wake them up, Mia, Tina said. You're calling from a different time zone. They'll understand, and be sure to call me back after you talk to her. I want to know what she says. I have to admit that, as I dialed, my fingers were shaking. Not so much because I was afraid of waking up Mr. and Mrs. Moskowitz and having them hate me for it forever, but because there was a chance Michael might answer. What was I going to say if he did? I had no idea. The only thing I knew for sure was that I was not going to say, "Do you like me as a friend or do you like me as a girlfriend?" Because Tina had told me not to. Lily answered on the first ring. Our conversation went like this. Lily: "Whoa, it's you." Me: "Is it too late to call? I didn't wake up your grandparents, did I?" Lily: "Well, yeah, kinda, but they'll get over it. So, how is it?" Me: "You mean Genovia? Okay, I guess." Lily: "Oh yes, I'm sure it's just okay being waited on hand and foot, having your every need tended to by servants, and wearing a crown all the time." Me: "The crown kind of hurts. Look, just tell me the truth, Lily. Has Michael found another girl?" Lily: "Another girl? What are you talking about?" Me: "You know what I mean. Some Floridian girl who can surf, some girl named Kate, or possibly Anne Mary, with one blue eye and one brown. Just tell me, Lily. I can take the truth, I swear." Lily: "First of all, for Michael to have met another girl, that would mean he would have to tear himself from his laptop and leave the condo, which he has done only for meals and to buy more computer equipment the entire time we have been here. He is as pasty-skinned as ever. Secondly, he is not going to go out with some girl named Kate because he likes you." Me: practically crying with relief. "Really, Lily? You swear you aren't just lying to make me feel better?" Lily: "No, I'm not. Though I don't know how long his devotion to you is going to last, considering you didn't even remember his birthday." I felt something clutch at my throat. Michael's birthday! I had forgotten Michael's birthday. I had written it in my new date book and everything, but with everything that had been going on. "Oh, my God, Lily!" I shrieked. "I completely forgot." "Yes," Lily said, "you did. But don't worry, I'm pretty sure he didn't expect a card or anything. I mean, you're off being the Princess of Genovia. How can you be expected to remember something as important as your boyfriend's birthday?" This seemed really unfair to me. I mean, Michael and I have only been going out for 22 days, and for 21 of them I have been very, very busy. I mean, it is all very well for Lily to joke, but I haven't seen her christening any battleships or crusading for the installation of public parking meters. It may never have occurred to anyone, but this princess stuff is hard work. "Lily," I said, "can I talk to him, please? Michael, I mean." "Sure," Lily said. Then she screamed, "Michael! Phone!" "Lily!" I cried, shocked. "Your grandparents!" "Please," she said. "This'll get them back for slamming the front door at 5 every single morning when they go to pick up the Times. It was a long time after that I finally heard some footsteps and then Michael going to Lily. Thanks. Then Michael picked up the phone and went, kind of curiously, since Lily hadn't told him who it was. Hello? Just hearing his voice made me forget all about how it was after 3 in the morning and I was miserable and hating my life. Suddenly, it was like it was 2 in the afternoon and I was lying on one of the beaches I was working so hard to protect from erosion and pollution by tourists, with the warm sun pouring down on me and someone offering me an ice-cold orangina from a silver tray. That's how Michael's voice made me feel. Michael, I said, it's me. Mia, he said, sounding genuinely happy to hear from me. I don't think it was my imagination either. He really did sound pleased, and not like he was getting ready to dump me for Kate Bosworth and all. How are you? I'm okay, I said. Then, to get it out as soon as possible, I went. Listen, Michael, I can't believe I missed your birthday. I suck. I can't believe how much I suck. I'm the most horrible person who ever walked the face of the planet. Then Michael did a miraculous thing. He laughed. Laughed. Like missing his birthday was nothing. Oh, that's all right, he said. I know you're busy over there, and there's that time zone thing and all. So, how's it going? Has your grandmother let you off for that parking meter thing, or is she still on your case about it? I practically melted right there in the middle of my big fancy royal bed, with the phone clutched to my ear and everything. I couldn't believe he was being so nice to me after the terrible thing I had done. It wasn't like 20 days had gone by at all. It was like we were still standing in front of my stoop, with the snow coming down and looking so white against Michael's dark hair, and Lars getting mad in the vestibule because we wouldn't stop kissing, and he was cold and wanted to go inside already. I couldn't believe I had ever thought Michael might fall in love with some Floridian girl with multicolored eyes and a surfboard. I mean, I still wasn't exactly sure he was in love with me or anything, but I was pretty sure he liked me. And right there, at 3 in the morning, sitting by myself in my royal bedchamber in the Palais di Genovia, that was enough. So then I asked him about his birthday, and he told me how they'd gone to Red Lobster and Lily had an allergic reaction to her shrimp cocktail, and they'd had to cut the meal short to go to prompt care because she had swollen up like Violet in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and now she has to carry a syringe filled with adrenaline around with her in case she accidentally ingests shellfish ever again. And how Michael's parents got him a new laptop for when he goes to college, and how when he gets back to New York he's thinking about starting a band since he is having trouble finding sponsors for his webzine Crackhead on account of how he did that groundbreaking expose on how much Windows suck and how he only uses Linux now. Apparently, a lot of crackheads, former subscribers, are frightened of the wrath of Bill Gates and his minions. I was so happy to be listening to Michael's voice that I didn't even notice what time it was or how sleepy I was getting until he went, "Hey, isn't it like 4 in the morning there?" Which, by that point, it was. Only I didn't care because I was so happy just to be talking to him. "Yes," I said dreamily. "Well, you'd better get to bed," Michael said, "unless you'd get to sleep in. But I bet you have stuff to do tomorrow, right?" "Oh," I said, still all lost in rhapsody, which is what the sound of Michael's voice sends me into. "Just a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the hospital, and then lunch with the Genovian Historical Society, and then a tour of the Genovian Zoo, and then dinner with the Minister of Culture and his wife." "Oh my God," Michael said, sounding alarmed. "Do you have to do that kind of stuff every day?" "Uh-huh," I said, wishing I was there with him so that I could gaze into his adorably brown eyes while hearing his adorably deep voice, and thus know whether or not he loved me, since this was, according to Tina, the only way you could tell with boys. "Mia," he said with some urgency, "you'd better get some sleep. You have another huge day ahead of you." "Okay," I said happily. "I mean it, Mia," he said. He can be so authoritative sometimes, just like the Beast in The Beauty and the Beast, my favorite movie of all time. Or the way Patrick Swayze bosses Baby around in Dirty Dancing. So exciting. "Hang up the phone and go to bed." "You hang up first," I said. Sadly, he got less bossy after this. Instead, he started talking in this voice I had only ever heard him use once before, and that was on the stoop in front of my mom's apartment building the night of the non-denominational winter dance when we did all that kissing, which was actually even more exhilarating than when he was bossing me around, to be truthful. "No," he said, "you hang up first." "No," I said, thrilled to pieces. "You." "No," he said, "you." "Both of you hang up," Lily said, very rudely, over extension. "I have to call Boris before his nightly Benadryl kicks in." So we both said goodbye very hastily and hung up. But I am almost positive Michael would have said "I love you" if Lily hadn't been on the line. 10 days until I see him again. I can hardly wait. Saturday, January 10th. Royal Daily Schedule. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Lunch with Genovian Historical Society. Grandmère can be so mean. Seriously, imagine pinching me just because she thought I had dozed off for a few seconds at lunch. I swear I'm going to have a bruise now. It's a good thing I don't have any time to go to the beach, because if I did and anyone saw the mark she had left, they'd probably call Genovian Child Protective Services or whatever. And I wasn't asleep either. I was just resting my eyes. Grandmère says it is thoughtless of that boy to keep me up all hours whispering sweet nothings in my ear. She says Prince Rene would never treat any of his girlfriends so cavalierly. I informed her very firmly that Michael had actually told me to hang up, because he cares very deeply about me, and that I was the one who kept on talking, and that we don't whisper sweet nothings to each other. We have substantive discussions about art and literature and Bill Gates' stranglehold on the software industry. To which Grandmère replied, "Pfft, but you can tell she is totally jealous, because she would like a boyfriend who is as smart and thoughtful as mine. But that will so never happen, because Grandmère is too mean. And besides, there is that whole thing she does with her eyebrows. Boys like girls with real eyebrows, not painted on ones. 9 days until I am once more in the arms of my love." Saturday, January 10th, 11 p.m. Royal Genovian Bedchamber. I am so excited. Tina, not being able to join her family on the ski slopes, spent all day in an Aspen internet cafe looking up all of her friends' horoscopes. Last night she faxed over me and Michael's horoscopes. I am taping them here in my datebook so I won't lose them. They are so accurate, it is making my spine tingle. Michael, date of birth January 5th. Capricorn is the leader of the earth signs. Here is a stabilizing force, one of the hardest working signs of the zodiac. The mountain goat has intense powers of self-concentration, but not in an egotistical sense. Members of this sign find a great deal more confidence in what they do than in who they are. Capricorn is one very high achiever. Without balance, however, Capricorn can become too rigid and focus too much on achievement. Then they forget the little joys in life. When the goat finally relaxes and enjoys life, his or her most delightful secrets emerge. No one has a better sense of humor than the Capricorn. Oh, the Cap might let us bask in that warm smile. Mia, date of birth, May 1. Ruled by loving Venus, Taurus has great emotional depth. Friends and lovers rely on the warmth and emotional accessibility of the bull. Taurus represents consistency, loyalty, and patience. Fixed Earth can be very rigid, too cautious to take some of the risks necessary in life. Sometimes the bull ends up temporarily stuck in the mud. He or she may not want to rise to every challenge or potential. And stubborn? Yes, the Taurian bull may always surface. This sign's yin energy can also go too far, causing Taurus to become very, very passive. Still, you cannot ask for a better lover or a more loyal friend. Michael plus Mia. Courageous, ambitious earth signs. Taurus and Capricorn seem to be made for each other. Both value career success and share a love of beauty and of lasting, classical foundations. Capricorn's irony charms the bull, while the latter's expert sensuality rescues the god from his or her obsession with career. They enjoy talking together, and communication is excellent. They confide in each other, one promising never to offend or betray the other. This could be a perfect couple. See, we are perfect for each other. But expert sensuality? Me? I don't think so. Still, I am so happy. Perfect. You can't get better than perfect. Sunday, January 11th. Royal Daily Schedule. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mass in Royal Genovian Chapel. Oh my God, I have only been Michael's girlfriend for 24 days, and already I'm terrible at it. The girlfriend thing, I can't even figure out what to get him for his birthday. He's the love of my life, the reason my heart beats. You would think I would know what to get the guy, but no, I haven't got a clue. Tina says the only appropriate thing to get for a boy you have only been officially dating for less than 4 weeks is a sweater. And she says even that is pushing it, since Michael and I have not even been out on an official date yet. So technically, how can we be dating? But a sweater, that is so unromantic. That is the kind of thing I would get my dad if he wasn't so in need of anger management manuals, which is what I got for him for Christmas. I would get a sweater for my stepdad for sure. But my boyfriend? I was kind of surprised Tina would suggest something so banal, as she is basically the resident romance expert of our little group. But Tina says the rules about what to give boys are actually very strict. Her mom told them to her. Tina's mom used to be a model and international jet setter who once dated a sultan, so I guess she would know. The rules for presents for guys, according to Mrs. Hakim Baba, goes: length of time going out, 1 to 4 months. Appropriate gift, sweater. 5 to 8 months, cologne. 9 to 12 months, cigarette lighter. 1 year plus, watch. But this is better at least than Grandmère's list of what is appropriate to give boyfriends, which she presented to me yesterday as soon as I mentioned to her my horrible fox pass of missing Michael's birthday. Her list goes: length of time going out, appropriate gift. 1 to 4 months, candy. 5 to 8 months, book. 9 to 12 months, handkerchief. 1 year plus, gloves. Handkerchiefs? Who gives handkerchiefs anymore? Handkerchiefs are completely unhygienic. And candy? For a guy? But Grandmère says the same rules apply for girls as for boys. Michael is not allowed to give me anything but candy or possibly flowers for my birthday either. Mrs. Hakim Baba says that for a non-smoker, an engraved pocket knife or brandy flask may be substituted. Whatever, like I would ever go out with a smoker, a drinker, or someone who went around with a knife in his pocket. Ooh, dream date. Overall, I think I prefer Mrs. Hakim Baba's list. Still, this whole dating present giving thing is so difficult. Everybody says something different. Like last night, I called my mom and asked her what I should give Michael, and she said silk boxer shorts. But I can't give Michael underwear. I wish my mom would hurry up and have this baby already so she would stop acting so weird. She's pretty much useless to me in her current state of hormonal imbalance. Out of desperation, I asked my dad what I should get Michael, and he said a pen, so Michael could write to me while I am in Genovia, instead of my calling him all the time and breaking the Bank of Genovia. Whatever, Dad, like anyone writes with a pen anymore. And hello, I am only going to be in Genovia for Christmas and summers, as per our agreement drawn up last September. A pen. I am so sure. Am I the only person in the family with a modicum for romance in my bones? Oops. Gotta stop writing. Father Christoph is looking this way. But it is his own fault. I wouldn't write in my journal during Mass if his sermons were even semi-inspiring, or at least in English. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Lunch with director of Royal Genovian Opera, leading mezzo-soprano. I thought I was a picky eater, but it turns out mezzo-sopranos are way pickier than even princesses. My zit is growing out of all proportion despite application of toothpaste last night before I went to bed. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Meeting with Genovian Homeowners Associations. You would think that the Homeowners Association at least would be on my side on the parking meter issue. After all, it's their houses these tourists keep parking in front of. You'd think they'd want to bring in a little more income for sidewalk repairs. But no, I swear I don't know how my dad does this every day. I really don't. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Formal dinner with Ambassador to Chile and his wife. Huge controversy due to Rene borrowing Chilean ambassador's convertible Porsche and his wife for a jaunt into Monte Carlo after dessert. Couple eventually found playing tennis on royal court. Sadly, it was strip tennis. 8 days until I see him again. Oh joy, oh rapture. Monday, January 12th, 1 a.m. Royal Genovian Bedchamber. I just got off the phone with Michael. I had to call him. It wasn't like I had a choice. I had to find out what he wanted for his birthday. I know that is cheating, asking someone what they want, but I seriously can't think of what to get him. Of course, if I were the Kate Bosworth type, I would so totally have gotten him the perfect gift already, like maybe a charming friendship bracelet that I wove myself out of seaweed or whatever. But I am not Kate Bosworth. I do not even know how to weave. Oh my God, I don't even know how to weave. I have to get him something really good since I forgot about his birthday and all. And then, of course, there's the whole thing about how he is saddled with a talentless freak princess for a girlfriend, instead of a hot Kate Bosworth type who can surf and weave and is self-actualized and never gets zits and everything. I have to get him something that is so fabulous that he forgets that I am nothing but a non-surfing, fingernail-biting freshman who happens to have been born royal. Of course, Michael says he doesn't want anything, that I am the only thing he needs. If only I could believe this. And that he will see me in 8 days, and that is the best present anyone could get him. This seems to indicate that he might actually be in love with him, as opposed to only loving me as a friend. I will, of course, have to check with Tina to see what she thinks. But I would have to say that, in this case, signs point to yes. But of course, he is only saying that he doesn't want anything for his birthday. I mean, I have to get him something, something really good. Only what? Anyway, I really did have a reason to call him. I didn't do it just because I wanted to hear the sound of his voice or anything. I mean, I am not that far gone. Oh, all right, maybe I am. How can I help it? I have only been in love with Michael since, like, forever. I love the way he says my name. I love the way he laughs. I love the way he asks my opinion, like he really cares what I think. God knows nobody around here feels that way. I mean, make a suggestion, like that it might save water to turn off the fountain in front of the palace at night when no one is around anyway, and everybody practically acts like one of the suits and armor in the grand hall started talking. Well, okay, not my dad, but I see him less here in Genovia than I do back home, practically, because he is so caught up in parliamentary meetings and racing his yacht in regattas and hanging out with Miss Satch Republic. Anyway, I like talking to Michael. Is that so wrong? I mean, he is my boyfriend after all. If only I were worthier of him. I mean, between my not having remembered his birthday, my not being able to figure out what to get him, and my not really being that good at anything the way he is, it's a wonder he's even interested in me at all. So we were just saying goodbye after having a perfectly pleasant conversation about the Genovian Olive Growers Association and Michael's band that he is trying to put together. He is so talented. And whether it is off-putting to call a band frontal lobotomy, and I was just working up the guts to go, I miss you, or I love you, thus leaving an opening for him to say something similar back to me, and therefore resolved the does he just love me like a friend or is he in love with me dilemma once and for all, when I heard Lily in the background demanding to talk to me. Michael went, "Get away!" But Lily kept on shrieking, "I have to talk to her. I just remembered I have something really important to ask her." Then Michael went, "Don't tell her about that." And my heart skipped a beat because I thought Lily had all of a sudden remembered that Michael had been going out with some girl named Anne Mary behind my back after all. Before I could say another word, Lily had wrestled the phone away from him. I heard Michael grunt, I guess in pain, because she must have kicked him or something. And then she was going, "Oh my God, I forgot to ask. Did you see it?" "Lily," I said, since even 8,000 miles away I could feel Michael's pain. Lily kicks hard. I know, because I have been the recipient of quite a few kicks of hers over the years. I know that you are used to having me all to yourself, but you are going to have to learn to share me with your brother. Now, if this means we are going to have to set boundaries in our relationship, then I guess we will have to. But you can't just go around ripping the phone out of Michael's hand when he might have had something really important to. Shut up about my sainted brother for a minute. Did you see it? See what? What are you talking about? I thought maybe somebody had tried to jump into the polar bear cage at the Central Park Zoo again. Oh, just the movie, Lily said, of your life, the one that was on TV the other night. Or hadn't you heard your life story has been made into a movie of the week? I wasn't very surprised to hear this. I had already been warned that a TV movie about my life was in the works, but I had been assured by the palace publicity staff that the movie wouldn't be shown until February sweeps. I guess the joke was on us. Whatever. There are already 4 unauthorized biographies about me floating around there. One of them made the bestseller list for about half a second. I read it. It wasn't that good, but maybe that's just because I already knew how it all turned out. So, I said, I was kind of mad at Lily. I mean, she had booted Michael off the phone just to tell me about some dumb movie. Hello, Lily said. Movie of your life. You are portrayed as shy and awkward. I am shy and awkward, I reminded her. They made your grandmother all kindly and sympathetic to your plight, Lily said. It was the grossest mischaracterization I have seen since Shakespeare in Love tried to pass off the bard as a hottie with a six-pack and a full set of teeth. That's horrible, I said. Now can I please finish talking to Michael? You didn't even ask how they portrayed me, Lily said accusingly. Your loyal best friend. How did they portray you, Lily? I asked, looking at the big fancy cloak on the top of the big fancy marble mantelpiece over my big fancy bedroom fireplace. And make it quick. I've got a breakfast and then a ride with the Genovian Equestrian Society in exactly 7 hours. They portrayed me as less than fully supported of your royalness. Lily practically screamed into the phone. They made out like after you first got that stupid haircut, I mocked you for being shallow and a trend follower. Yeah, I said, waiting for her to get to the point of her tirade, because of course Lily hadn't been very supportive of my haircut or my royalness. But it turned out Lily had already gotten to the point of her tirade. I was never unsupportive of your royalness, she shrieked into the phone, causing me to hold the receiver away from my head in order to keep my eardrums intact. I was your number 1 most supportive friend through the whole thing. This was so patently untrue. I thought Lily was joking. I started to laugh, but then I realized when she greeted my laughter with stone-cold silence that she was totally serious. Apparently, Lily has one of those selective memories where she can remember all the good things she did, but none of the bad things. kind of like a politician. Because, of course, if it were true that Lily had been so supportive of me, I never would have become friends with Tina Hakim Baba, who I only started sitting with at lunch back in October because Lily wasn't speaking to me on account of the whole princess thing. I sincerely hope, Lily said, that you are laughing in disbelief over the idea that I was ever anything less than a good friend to you, Mia. I know we've had our ups and downs, but any time I was ever hard on you, it was only because I thought you weren't being true to yourself. Um, I said, okay. I'm going to write a letter, Lily went on, to the studio that produced that piece of libellous trash, demanding a written apology for their irresponsible screenwriting, and if they do not provide one, and publish it in a full-page ad in Variety, I will sue. I don't care if I have to take my case to the Supreme Court. Those Hollywood types think they can throw anything they want to in front of a camera and the viewing public will just lap it up. Well, that might be true for the rest of the proles, but I am going to fight for more honest portrayals of actual people and events. The man is not going to keep me down. I asked Lily what man, thinking she meant the director or something, and she just went, the man, the man, like I was mentally challenged or something. Then Michael got back on the phone and explained that the man is a figurative allusion to authority, and that in the way that Freud and Alice blame everything on the mother, blues musicians have historically blamed their woes on the man. Traditionally, Michael informed me, the man is usually white, financially successful, middle-aged, and in a position of considerable power over others. We have discussed calling Michael's band The Man, but then dismissed it as having possibly misogynistic undertones. 7 days until I can once again be in Michael's arms. Oh, that the hours would fly as fleetly as winged doves. I just realized Michael's description of the man sounds a lot like my dad, although I doubt all those blues musicians were talking about the Prince of Genovia. As far as I know, my dad has never even been to Memphis. Monday, January 12th. Royal Daily Schedule: 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Royal Genovian Symphony. Just when it seems like maybe, just maybe, things might be starting to go my way, something always has to come along to ruin it. And as usual, it was Grandmère. I guess she could tell because I was so sleepy again today that I'd been up all night talking to Michael. So this morning, between my ride with the Equestrian Society and my meeting with the Genovian Beachfront Development Society, Grandmère sat me down and gave me a lecture. This time it wasn't about the socially acceptable gifts to give my boy on his birthday. Instead, it was about appropriate choices. "It is all very well and good, Amelia," Grandmère said, "for you to like that boy." "I should think so," I cried with righteous indignation, "considering you have never even met him. I mean, what do you even know about Michael anyway? Nothing." Grandmère just gave me the evil eye. Nevertheless, she went on. "I do not think it wise of you to allow your affection for this Michael fellow to blind you to other more suitable consorts, such as—" I interrupted to tell Grandmère that if she said the words Prince William I was going to jump off the Pont des Verges. Grandmère told me not to be more ridiculous than I already am, that I could never marry Prince William anyway on account of his being Church of England. However, there are apparently other infinitely more suitable romantic partners for a princess of the royal house of Ronaldo than Michael, and Grandmère said she would hate me to miss the opportunity to get to know these other young men just because I fancy myself in love with Michael. She assured me that were the circumstances reversed, and Michael were the heir to the throne and a considerable fortune, she highly doubted he would be as scrupulously faithful as I was being. I objected to this assessment of Michael's character very much. I informed Grandmère that if she had ever bothered to get to know Michael, she would have realized that in every aspect of his life, from his being editor-in-chief of the now defunct Crackhead to his role as treasurer in the Computer Club, he has shown nothing but the utmost loyalty and integrity. I also explained as patiently as I could that it hurt me to hear her saying anything negative about a man to whom I have pledged my heart. "That is just it, Amelia," Grandmère said, rolling her scary eyes. "You are entirely too young to pledge your heart to anyone. I think it very unwise of you, at the age of 14, to decide who you are going to spend the rest of your life with, unless, of course, it happens to be someone very, very special, someone your father and I know very, very well. Someone who, while possibly seeming a bit immature, probably just needs the right woman to make him settle down. Girls mature much more quickly than young men, Amelia." I interrupted Grandmère to inform her that I will be 15 in 4 months, and also that Juliet was 14 when she married Romeo, to which Grandmère replied, "And that relationship turned out very nicely, didn't it?" Grandmère clearly has never been in love. Furthermore, she has no appreciation whatsoever for romantic tragedy. "And in any case," Grandmère added, "if you hope to keep that boy, you are going about it all wrong." I thought it was very unsportive of Grandmère to be suggesting that I, after only having had a real boyfriend for 25 days, during which time I had spoken to him exactly 3 times on the phone, was already in danger of losing him to someone with multicolored eyes, and said so. "Well, I am sorry, Amelia," Grandmère said, "but I can't say you know what you're about, if it's true you actually want to keep this young man." I swear I do not know what came over me at that moment, but it was like all the pressure that had been building up, the parking meter thing, missing Michael and my mom and Fat Louis, what I was going to say to Prince William, my zit, all became too much, and I heard myself spewing. "Of course I want to keep him, but how am I going to be able to do that when I am an entirely unself-actualized, talentless, breastless, un-Kate Bosworth-like princess freak. Grandmère looked kind of surprised at my outburst. She didn't seem to know which issue to address first, my talentless or breastlessness. Finally, she settled for saying, "Well, you could start by not staying on the phone with him until all hours of the night. You do not give him any reason to doubt your affections." "Of course not," I said, horrified. "Why would I do that? I love him." "But you must not let him know that." Grandmère looked ready to throw her mid-morning sidecar at me. "Are you completely dense? Never let a man be sure of your affections for him. You did a very good job at first with this business of forgetting his birthday, but now you are ruining everything with this calling all the time. If that boy realizes how you really feel, he will stop trying to please you." "But Grandmère," I was very confused, "you married Grandpa. Surely he figured out you loved him if you went ahead and married him." "Grandpère, Mia, please. Not this vulgar grandpa you Americans insist upon." Grandmère sniffed and looked insulted. "Your grandfather most certainly did not figure out my feelings for him. I made quite certain he thought I was only marrying him for his money and title. And I don't think I need to point out to you that we had 40 blissful years together, and without separate bedrooms," she added with some malice, "unlike some royal couples I could mention." "Wait a minute," I stared at her. "For 40 years you slept in the same bed as Grandpère, but you never once told him that you loved him?" Grandmère drained what was left of her sidecar and laid an affectionate hand on top of Rommel's head. Since returning to Genovia and being diagnosed with OCD, most of Rommel's fur had started to grow back, thanks to the plastic cone around his head. White fuzz was starting to come out all over him, like down on a baby chicken. But it didn't make him look any less repulsive. "That," Grandmère said, "is precisely what I am telling you. I kept your grandfather on his toes, and he loved every minute of it. If you want to keep this Michael fellow, I suggest you do the same thing. Stop this business of calling him every night. Stop this business of not looking at any other boys, and stop this obsessing over what you are going to get him for his birthday. He should be the one obsessing over what he is going to buy to keep you interested, not the other way around." "Me? But my birthday isn't until May." I didn't want to tell her that I had already figured out what I was getting from Michael. I didn't want to tell her because I had sort of snitched it out of the back of the Palais de Genovia museum. Well, nobody else was using it, so I don't see why I can't. I'm the Princess of Genovia, after all. I own everything in that museum anyway, or at least the royal family does. Who says a man should give a woman gifts only on her birthday? Grandmère was looking at me like she pretty much despaired of me as a Homo sapien. She held up her wrist. Dripping from it was a bracelet Grandmère wears a lot, one with diamonds big as euro 1-cent pieces hanging off it. "I got this from your grandfather on March 5th, 40 years or so ago. Why? March 5th is not my birthday, nor is it any kind of holiday. Your grandfather gave it to me on that day merely because he thought that the bracelet, like me, was exquisite. She lowered her hand back down to Romel's head. That, Amelia, is how a man ought to treat the woman he loves. All I could think was, poor Grandpère. He couldn't have had any idea what he was getting himself into when it came to Grandmère, who had been a total babe back when she was young, before she had gotten her tattooed eyeliner and shaved off her eyebrows. I'm sure Gramps just took one look at her across that dance floor where they met back when he was just the dashing heir to the throne and she was a pert young debutante, and froze like a graffiti artist caught in a cop car's headlights, never suspecting what lay ahead. Years of subtle mind games and sidecar shaking. I don't think I can be like that, Grandmère, I said. I mean, I don't want Michael to give me diamonds. I just want him to ask me to the prom. Well, he won't do it, Grandmère said, if he doesn't think there's a possibility you are entertaining offers from other boys. Grandmère, I was shocked. I would never go to the prom with anybody but Michael. Not like there was a big chance of anybody else asking me either, but I felt that was beside the point. But you must never let him know that, Amelia, Grandmère said severely. You must keep him always in doubt of your feelings, always on his toes. Men enjoy the hunt, you see, and once they have taken their quarry, they tend to lose all interest. Here, this is for you to read. I believe it will adequately illustrate my point. Grandmère had drawn out a book from her Gucci bag and handed it to me. I looked down at it incredulously. Jane Eyre? I couldn't believe it. Grandmère, I saw the movie, and no offense, but it was very boring. Movie, Grandmère said with a sniff. Read that book, Amelia, and see if it doesn't teach you a thing or two about how men and women relate to one another. Grandmère, I said, not sure how to break it to her that she was way behind the times. I think people who want to know how men and women relate to one another are reading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus these days. Read it, Grandmère yelled so loudly that she scared Rommel clear off her lap. He slunk off to cower behind a potted geranium. I swear, I don't know what I did to deserve a grandmother like mine. Lily's grandma totally worships Lily's boyfriend, Boris Pelkowski. She's always sending him Tupperware tubs of crepe-latch and stuff. I don't know why I have to get a grandmother who is already trying to get me to break up with the guy I've only been going out for 25 days. 7 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes until I see him again. Tuesday, January 13th. Royal Daily Schedule. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Breakfast with members of Royal Genovian Shakespeare Society. Jane Eyre very boring. So far nothing but orphanages, bad haircuts, and a lot of coughing. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Session of Genovian Parliament. Jane Eyre looking up, She has gotten a job as governess in house of very rich guy, Mr. Rochester. Mr. Rochester, very bossy, much like Wolverine or Michael. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tea with Grandmère and wife of Prime Minister of England. Mr. Rochester equals hottie. Going on my list of totally hot guys between Hugh Jackman and that Croatian dude from Eyre. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Formal state dinner with Prime Minister of England and family. Jane Eyre equals total idiot. It was not Mr. Rochester's fault. Why is she being so mean to him? And Grandmère shouldn't yell at me for reading at the table. She's the one who gave me this book in the first place. 6 days, 11 hours, 29 minutes until I see him again. Wednesday, January 14th, 3 a.m. Royal Genovian Bedchamber. Okay, I guess I understand what Grandmère was getting at with this book. But seriously, that whole part where Mrs. Fairfax warns Jane not to get too chummy with Mr. Rochester before the wedding was just because back in those days there was no birth control. Still, and I may have to consult with Lily on this, I am pretty sure it is unwise to pattern one's behavior after the advice of a fictional character, especially one from a book written in 1846. However, I do get the general gist of Mrs. Fairfax's warning, which was this: do not chase boys. Chasing boys is bad. Chasing boys can lead to horrible things like mansions going up in flames, hand amputations, and blindness. Have some self-respect and don't let things go too far before the wedding day. I get this. I so get this. But what is Michael going to think if I just stop calling? I mean, he might think I don't like him anymore. And it isn't like I've got so much going from me in the first place. I mean, as a girlfriend, I pretty much suck. I'm not good at anything. I can't remember people's birthdays, and I am a princess. I guess that is Grandmère's point. I guess you are supposed to keep boys on their toes this way. I don't know, but it seemed to work with Grandpère, and for Jane, in the end, I guess I could give it a try. But it won't be easy. It is 9 o'clock at night in Florida right now. Who knows what Michael is doing? He might have gone down to the beach for a stroll and met some beautiful homeless musician girl who is living on the boardwalk and making a living off the tourists, for whom she plays royally observant folk songs on her Stratocaster. I can't even play tennis, let alone an instrument. I bet she is wearing fringy things and is all busty and snaggle-toothed, like Jewel. No boy could be expected just to walk on by when a girl like that is standing there. No, Grandmère and Mrs. Fairfax are right. I've got to resist. I've got to resist the urge to call him. When you are less available, it drives men wild, just like in Jane Eyre. Though I think changing my name and running away to live with the distant relations like Jane did might be going a bit too far, as appealing as it seems. 5 days, 7 hours, and 25 minutes until I see him again. Wednesday, January 14th, Royal Daily Schedule. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Breakfast with Genovian Society of Medicine. So tired. This is the last time I stay up half the night reading 19th century literature. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Session of Genovian Parliament. Filibuster by Minister of Finance. He says Genovia will have parking meters or perish. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Session of Genovian Parliament. Filibuster ongoing. Would like to slip out for an orangina, but I am afraid this would look unsupportive. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Session of Genovian Parliament. Can't take it anymore. Filibuster too boring. Plus Rene just popped his head in and smirked at me. Let him laugh. He won't have to rule a country someday. Thursday, January 15th. State dinner in neighboring Monaco. Grandmère finally noticed my zit. I guess the idea of me meeting Prince William with a giant zit on my chin was too much for her, since she completely flipped out. I told her I had the situation under control. But Grandmère clearly does not put as much faith in toothpaste as a complexion aid as I do. She sent for the royal dermatologist. He injected my chin with something, then said not to put any more toothpaste on my face. I can't even seem to handle a zit right. How am I ever going to rule a country? To do before leaving Genovia. 1. Find a safe place to put Michael's present where it will not be found by grandmother or nosy ladies-in-waiting while packing my stuff. Inside toe of combat boot. 2. Say goodbye to kitchen staff and thank them for all the vegetarian fare. 3. Make sure harbour master has hung a pair of scissors off every buoy in port for use of zatching tourists who didn't bring along their own set to snip six-pack holders. 4. Take funny nose and glasses off the statue of Grandmère in the portrait hall before she notices. 5. Practice my meeting Prince William speech, also goodbye Prince Rene speech. 6. Break Francois' record of 20 feet 7 inches sock sliding along Crystal Hallway. 7. Let all the doves in the palace dovecote go. If they want to come back, that is fine, but they should have the option to be free. 8. Let Tante Jean Marie know that this is the 21st century and that women no longer have to live with the stigma of dark facial hair, and leave her my Jolene. 9. Slip Minister of Finance details on parking meter manufacturers that I got off the internet. 10. Get scepter back from Prince Rene. Friday, January 16th, 11 p.m. Royal Genovian Bedchamber. Tina spent all day yesterday reading Jane Eyre per my recommendation and agrees with me that there might be something to the whole letting boys chase you as opposed to you chasing them thing. So she has decided not to email or call Dave, unless he emails or calls first, of course. Lily, however, refuses to take part in this scheme, as she says game playing is for children and that her relationship with Boris is one that cannot be qualified by modern-day psychosexual mating practices. According to Tina, I can't call Lily because Michael might pick up the phone and then he'll think I'm chasing him. Lily says that Jane Eyre was one of the first feminist manifestos, and she heartily approves of us using it as model for our romantic relationships. Although she sent a warning to me through Tina that I shouldn't expect Michael to ask me to marry him until after he's gotten at least one postgraduate degree, as well as a starting position with a company that pays at least $200,000 a year, plus annual performance bonus. Lily also added that the one time she saw him ride a horse, Michael looked way unromantic, so I shouldn't get my hopes up that he's going to be jumping any stiles like Mr. Rochester anytime soon. But I find this hard to believe. I am so sure Michael would look very handsome on a horse. Tina mentioned that Lily is still upset about the movie of my life they showed the other day. Tina saw it, though, and said it wasn't as bad as Lily is making it out to be. She said the lady who played Principal Gupta was hilarious. But Tina wasn't in the movie on account of her dad having found out about it beforehand and threatening the filmmakers with a lawsuit if they mentioned his daughter's name anywhere. Mr. Hakim Baba worries a lot about Tina being kidnapped by a rival oil sheikh. Tina says she wouldn't mind being kidnapped, though, if the rival oil sheikh was cute and willing to commit to a long-term relationship and remember to buy her one of those diamond heart pendants from K Jewels on Valentine's Day. Tina says the girl who played Lana Wernberger in the movie did a fabulous job and should get an Emmy. Also, that she didn't think Lana was going to be too happy about how she was portrayed as a jealous princess wannabe. Also, the guy who played Josh was a babe. Tina was trying to find his email address. Tina and I vowed that if either of us ever felt like calling our boyfriends, instead we would call each other. Unfortunately, I have no cell phone, so it is not like Tina will be able to reach me if I am in the middle of knighting someone or anything. But I am fully going to hit my dad up for a Motorola tomorrow. Hey, I am heir to the sovereign of an entire country. At the very least, I should have a beeper. Not to self. Look up the word style. 4 days, 12 hours and 5 minutes until I see Michael again. Saturday, January 17th. Royal Genovian Polo Match. Could there be a more boring sport than polo? I mean, besides golf? I think not. Furthermore, I do not think it is very good for the horses swinging mallets that close to their heads. It is like Silver, the Lone Ranger's horse. The Lone Ranger kept shooting off guns next to Silver's ear. It was no wonder the poor thing kept rearing. Also, Renee isn't too competitive with Prince William or anything. Renee keeps riding in front of the poor guy and stealing the ball from him every chance he gets, and they are supposed to be on the same team. I swear, if Rene's team wins and he pulls a Mia Hamm and swings his shirt around over his head, I will know he is just doing all of this for the benefit of the hordes of Prince William fans who are here, which I guess is understandable. It probably is disconcerting to him that Wills is so much more popular than he is. And Rene does have pretty impressive pecs. If only all those girls knew about the Enrique Iglesias lip-syncing. 3 days, 17 hours and 6 minutes until I see Michael again. Talk about impressive pecs. Saturday, January 17th, 11 p.m. Royal Genovian Bedchamber. Grandmère so needs to get a life. Tonight was the farewell ball, to celebrate the end of my first official trip to Genovia in my capacity as heir to the throne. Anyway, Grandmère's been going on about this ball for weeks. Like this is going to be my big chance to redeem myself for the whole parking meter thing, not to mention the Prince William factor. In fact, between that and the whole not thinking Michael suitable concert material, she's been laying it on so thick, I fully blame her for my zit. Even though it's gone now, thanks to the miracle of modern dermatology, but still. Between the pressures Grandmère has been pulling on me, plus the anxiety of knowing that my boyfriend might at this very moment be taking surfing lessons from some zit-free Kate Bosworth type, it is a wonder my complexion does not resemble the guys they kept locking in the basement in that movie, The Goonies. Whatever. So Grandmère makes this big deal out of my hair growing out and so becoming triangular shaped again. But who cares? Boys are supposed to like girls with long hair better than girls with short hair. I read that in French Cosmo. And she makes this big deal out of my fingernails. Okay, so in spite of the whole New Year's resolution thing, I still keep biting them. So sue me. The man is keeping me down. And she makes this big deal out of what I am going to say to Prince William. Then, after all this, we get to the stupid ball, and I walk up to Wills, who, I will admit, though my heart still belongs to Michael, was looking quite studly in his tux. And I am all set to go. It's very nice to meet you, but it was like at the last second I forgot who I was talking to, because he turned those blue eyes on me like a pair of Klieg lights, and I totally froze up, exactly the way I did that time Josh Reicher smiled at me in Bigler's drugstore. Seriously, like, I couldn't remember where I was or what I was doing there. I was just looking into those blue eyes and going inside my head, oh my God, they're the color of the sea outside the window of my Royal Genovian bedchamber. Then Prince William was going, "It's very nice to meet you," and shaking my hand, and I just kept on staring at him, even though I do not even like him in that way. I am in love with my boyfriend. But I guess that is the thing with the guy. He has that whole charisma thing going, kind of like Bill Clinton. Only I never met him. I just read about it. Anyway, that was it. That was the extent of my interaction with Prince William of England. He turned around after that to answer someone's question about thoroughbred horse racing, and I was like, oh look, baked mushroom caps, to cover my excruciating mortification, and went chasing after the footman who was passing them around. That's all. The end. Needless to say, I did not get his email address. Tina is just going to have to learn to live with disappointment. Oh, but my evening did not end there. Not at all. No. Little did I know there was much, much more to come, in the form of Grandmère showing me at Prince Rene all night, so that the two of us could dance in front of this Newsweek reporter who is in Genova to do a story on our country's transition to the euro. She swore that was the only reason for the photo op. But then, while we were dancing, which, by the way, I am horrible at, dancing, I mean, I can box step if I look down the whole time and count inside my head, but that is about it, aside from slow dancing. But guess what? They so don't slow dance in Genova. At least, not in the palace. I saw Grandmère totally going around pointing us out to people, and it was so obvious what she was saying. You didn't even have to be a lip reader to know she was going. Aren't they just the loveliest couple? Ew. So then, when the dance was over, just in case Grandmère was getting any ideas, I went up to her and I was all, Grandmère, I am willing to cool it with the calling Michael stuff, but that does not mean I'm going to start going out with Prince Rene, who, by the way, asked me if I wanted to step outside on the terrazzo and have a smoke. I, of course, told him I do not smoke and that he shouldn't either, as tobacco is responsible for 500,000 deaths a year in the United States alone. But he only laughed at me, all James Spader from Pretty in Pinkishly. So then I told him not to get any ideas, that I already have a boyfriend, and that maybe he didn't see the movie of my life, but I fully know how to handle guys who are only after me for my crown jewels. So then Rene and I said I was adorable. And I said, oh, for God's sake, cut the Enrique Iglesias act. And then my dad came up and asked me if I had seen the Prime Minister of Greece, and I said, Dad, I think Grandmère is trying to fix me up with Rene. And then my dad got all tight-lipped and took Grandmère aside and had a word with her, while Prince Rene slunk off to go make out with one of the Hilton sisters. Afterward, Grandmère came up and told me not to be so ridiculous, that she merely wanted Prince Rene and I to dance together because it was a nice photo op for Newsweek, and that maybe if they ran a story on us, it would attract more tourists. To which I replied that in light of our crumbling infrastructure, more tourists is exactly what this country doesn't need. I suppose if my palace had been brought out from under me by some shoe designer, I would be pretty desperate too. But I wouldn't hit on a girl who has the weight of an entire populace on her shoulders and already has a boyfriend besides. On the bright side, if Newsweek does run the photo, maybe Michael will get all jealous of Rene the way Mr. Rochester did of that St. John guy, and he'll boss me around some more. 2 days, 8 hours and 10 minutes until I see Michael again. I can't wait.